And we welcome you to a very special edition of This Is Wrestling. It's Versage, along with the one and only ZFG. Stands for Zach McGibbon, but it also stands for a beer that I'm going to show you in a second, Zach McGibbon, and we're going to put it out to our audience. There is a beer down in Florida named ZFG, and I got my hands on it.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's like this huge IPA bursting with flavor. It's nothing like you. Great.
Wow. I was going to ask, like, what does the beer taste like? Like, what is the approach they're going with the ZFG IPA?
Well, they're trying to be the opposite of you. Flavorful, lots of things going on in it, as opposed to, you. Because Zach, can give you a boots on the ground from AEW Collision in Jacksonville, Florida, Daly's Place, which I was at on Saturday. I'm looking forward to talking about Dynamite and Collision and AEW. A lot of feedback from our last show about Monday Night Raw, the direction, as we are not that far. Royal Rumble coming up, Zach. And I can't tell you how great it is this year to be able to say, I don't know who's going to win the Royal Rumble, because I think there's a lot of different people that can win it. And I think that's very exciting. But more importantly, how's Belleville? Cold?
We are currently in a winter weather travel advisory here in Belleville as we're recording.
I'm not in a winter weather travel advisory.
Oh no.
I actually had to put on a sweatshirt out here. It's just a little bit chilly. I would say maybe down to 17 degrees, beautiful sunset.
Poor you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Just nice. Instead of lying down by the poolside or whatever, you're gonna have to be on the balcony of where you're at instead. Yeah. I mean, really the tough decisions you have to make in your life at this point.
Thank you for understanding, Zach. Not a lot of people would, but it's this kind of compassion that makes you who you are.
Compassion is certainly a word. That's a word.
We'll see if it's later on in the show if you have as much, because we got a lot to talk about. And as I said, I was excited. I sent you pictures of the bus. It was exciting to see Ricky Starks' face as the first face I saw on the AEW bus. I was just wondering where he was. But I was at Daly's Place for Collision in Jacksonville, Florida, the home of AEW, because I think, not only was their show called Homecoming, but as we all know, we watched AEW through COVID, and that was their home, where they emanated from. And that's where obviously the Jacksonville Jaguars play, and the owners of Tony and Shad Khan, and Tony Khan was there. And Zach, I'm excited to tell you about the experience. It was quite an experience going to Daly's Place.
Yeah, you were sending me photos as the night was going along. I was a little bit jealous, I won't lie. I was wondering what it was like at Daly's Place over there. Obviously, they've kind of established themselves now that that location's now established itself as one of the locations that you quite associate with wrestling up there with Hammerstein Ballroom and the ECW Arena, I would say. Daly's Place is one of those areas where you're like, yep, that's where the wrestling happens. And so, getting those photos, and I gotta say, based on the reviews and whatnot, I've not been able to catch Collision, but based on the reviews and what people were saying, people were very happy about this Collision show. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts being there in the building for that show.
Yeah, well, first of all, and I think this needs to be said, this was quite an experience. Like, Daly's Place is not inside, first of all. And for anybody that ever thinks that place is inside, it is not. It's an extension of the football stadium in Jacksonville where the Jaguars play. They have it open where you can go and kind of walk down to the field. It's barricaded off once you get to the field, but you can go and you can see the field and it's all lit up. Then you kind of walk over to the other side and it's like an amphitheater. when I walked in, I really didn't know what to expect, especially because I decided I was going to pay, I was going to pay some good money and end up getting a really good seat. But then at the end, I thought, you know what? I end up getting a really good seat for not very much money, which was fantastic. But and I'm gonna tell you after all my whining, and you're gonna think that this is silly, but it was absolutely freezing.
Really?
At Daly's place in Jacksonville. I mean, like numbingly cold.
Wow.
Now again, I went in and, I get out of the car and these people have their blankets and their toques on. And I'm like, what is going on? This is Florida. but it was a little chilly. And I walked in and I had 2 sweatshirts on. And I'm like, well, because I wanted to wear my Forbidden Door shirt. But then I also had another sweatshirt that kind of had zipped up pockets so I could carry all my valuables in them. And when I was sitting there, people had their coats and their toques and their blankets. And I get why. It was absolutely freezing cold. But I would recommend that anybody who wanted to go to a wrestling event and had a chance to go to Daly's place, it was unlike any other venue I've ever been at. While it was outside, it was mostly protected. I mean, a little bit of wind was coming through, but the setup was a perfect setup to go and watch an event that you care about. Not a bad seat in the house. I ended up sitting because where my seat was a little jammed with people. I moved up a bit, but I was still at the top of section of the 100 level. I felt like I was right there. There is not a bad seat in the house, and it's an unbelievable venue as far as seating that nobody would feel like they had a bad seat. And so getting in there, I was a little bit disappointed. They only had one merch stand. It was probably a couple of thousand. Well, I would have to look at what the attendance was, but I would say 2,000 to 2,500 maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I think WrestleTix noted it was in the 2,000 to upwards to close to 3,000 range. So.
Oh, okay. And I had no idea what that was the feel of what was going on.
Yeah.
And a lot of families and of course a lot of hardcore fans. But I'm telling you, I give a lot of credit to the wrestlers because I'm guaranteeing that that's one of the coldest venues they have been in a very long time. Because if they are outside, it's usually not cold. And if they're in a cold environment, they're inside. So it was getting down into, like close to freezing. Down to 3, 2, 1. And obviously there's no sun getting in there. But it was an interesting time. They taped some Ring of Honor beforehand. They got into the card. And I thought it was really a tight card. And if you wanted to go and watch a 2-hour event that it didn't feel like there were a lot of gaps, this was it. And some good stuff. I think the wrestlers understood that they wanted to work hard because you got to keep moving. Zach, it's cold. And I think if you look in the background, there were some people with some toques on and some jackets on, and like it was cold. It was good to see. I saw in the Ring of Honor. It was good to see. Sammy Guevara had a match with one of what are they? Eminem, the guys who left WWE.
Oh, MXM, Eminem. You're thinking of Morrison and Mercury there. That's a throwback.
Yeah, no, not that. That is a throwback. MXM. And that was a decent match. Griff Garrison and Preston Vance were out as a tag team, and they got a lot of local love in Ring of Honor. But I'm excited to hear your thoughts on, they come out first of all, and they had like Kazuchika Okada was out. That was good. They had Adam Cole and the Undisputed Kingdom out. That was good. I thought the wrestlers really worked hard. Biggest reaction by far, was your girl, Toni Storm, in the middle of the ring with a face-to-face with Mariah May, which I thought was going to be the worst part of the night. And it ended up being very entertaining, as basically Toni Storm stripped and got back into her old gimmick, Zach. And I know that you're excited. You have to be excited
Rubbing my hands.
About Toni Storm's gimmick with down to the the black underwear and the black tights, and it was fantastic. I mean, the crowd was in a frenzy as she was doing this. I thought Mariah May played it perfectly. There was some good wrestling on this card. I really enjoyed it. I thought they kept it very tight, and although a little bit predictable, they had a parking lot brawl that spilled into the ring. A lot of good stuff on this match, and I was thinking I was going to be disappointed because there was no Omega, no Ospreay, but I thought they did a pretty good job at making sure that the fans got their money's worth on that night. So it was an excellent experience, but only one merch stand, so I didn't get a Will Ospreay shirt. They only had his soccer jersey for $75 US. I almost bought you a pink Darby Allin hoodie, though.
Oh, is it the same style as that jacket that he wears going to the ring?
Yeah, it is.
There you go.
Yeah,
I think I could rock that look. I really do.
I know you could. I almost bought you the MJF scarf as well.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, that says "too poor to afford the real one."
That's fantastic.
Which I thought was actually quite good as well. But all in all, I thought a really good night. But you could tell the fans kind of wanted the quick action. The wrestlers wanted the quick action, kind of get in, get out, and Takachika looked good. I thought Okada looked good. There's a couple of slip-ups in the Okada Commander match, and they ended up getting through that. I didn't love. It was nice to see Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. But I didn't think that match was as good as it possibly could have been. And then the Hounds of Hell came out. And I thought, being the new part of that group, I think people were really behind Brody King. Really behind Brody King. And the dog, almost the gremlin, or the Steiners, like the ooh
right,
chant, which I think you're going to see a lot more of. But man, people love Brody King when he was out there. So all in all, I think a venue, probably the coldest they've ever been at that venue, I would bet. But a venue that lends itself to great sight lines. And I think, especially with a bigger card, I would go back there in a heartbeat to see a bigger card or a really important Dynamite, or even if they went back there on pay-per-view, I would go back there in a second. It's a fantastic venue for sightlines.
It's great to hear. Yeah, that's it looks like they really set up that venue well to have the sight lines looking over really well. So yeah, that's cool to hear in terms of your experiences. Again, it looked like it was a heck of a card that they put on for a collision, and how they were able to flow it all together. Yes, I'm sure people will want my thoughts on the big angle that they did with Toni Storm and Mariah May. And we're getting the return of timeless Toni Storm, Versage.
Mm-hmm.
Get excited. We are back We're not doing an amnesia angle, which I thought this was where it was leading to, and I was getting ready to, I mean, I was already not a big fan of it in the first place, but you throw in some amnesia, and you really get me fired up. But they are not doing the amnesia angle. Instead, they are playing it off as this big acting performance of a lifetime. Acting, cinema.
Was Toni Storm.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. She's playing that 1930s era of an actress while calling out 1950s and 1970s wrestlers. Very consistent. I got to admit, Lee, I thought that the promo came off quite well. I think it came off well for me because it wasn't in that. It stayed true to that timeless Toni Storm character, but not being so over the top and goofy, where I didn't feel like it was, a comedy bit. It really felt like it was a heated segment.
It felt genuine from her.
Yep.
Like there was some real sort of emotion behind it, and I think that's what's important to get something over.
Yeah. So I thought it was well done. I would change one thing though. I would change. I would not have Toni Storm get beat up and then doing the reveal of her being timeless Toni Storm. I felt like that was a little bit ass backwards. I felt like it should have been timeless Toni Storm making the big return, and then timeless Toni Storm getting the upper hand and leaving Mariah May running off, because while yes, timeless Toni Storm has returned and Mariah May is stunned that timeless Toni has returned, even though everybody and their mother knew that timeless Toni would eventually return to this company, the way that the story was going.
My mom didn't.
Your mom didn't?
No.
She's not a weekly Dynamite viewer, I guess.
No, I guess not.
Doesn't subscribe for Collision or Rest in Peace Rampage, I should say as well. But nonetheless, I would have switched that around. I would have had Toni kind of get the upper hand, because while yes, she revealed herself as timeless Toni Storm, and yes, Mariah May looked stunned that it happened, she still got a chance to walk away. It's like, well, that happened. She's back. I would have had Toni Storm stand tall instead, but
yeah. So we'll talk about AEW and ass backwards, and it's not to do with this. I understand where you're coming from. I actually don't disagree, but at least I can justify it in saying Mariah May was leaving thinking she had the upper hand, and psychologically, in 2 or 3 minutes, she was left dumbfounded. She was left confused, and I think now completely bewildered going into that match. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. And while I agree with you, it could have gone down another way. I think Mariah May thought she was in control of everything until she got on the ramp and realized she's not in control of anything. And I thought that was at least decent, because it was a bit of a surprise to all of us. It was a surprise to me at the time that it was going to happen right then and there.
Yep.
And I'm always one to be like, okay, as a wrestling fan, I see a lot of things coming. And so if I'm surprised, I can enjoy it a little bit more. And I was a little bit surprised. And maybe they had to do that to surprise us rather than just kind of telegraphing exactly what was going to happen. Sorry, the name of the tag team who fought the Hounds of Hell, the Ring of Honor guys,
Gates of Agony?
The Gates of Agony. Oh my God, they are good. And I know they lost the match, but they are big, they are agile, they are athletic, and they are, I think, I'm surprised they haven't done a little bit more. It's probably because of, the promo ability and the places to put them. But watching them in the ring, you're like, this team could be something at any time.
Yeah. When I saw Bishop Khan for the first time, I was like, oh, I could see why Tony has him signed here, because he's certainly got a look, and I think the partnership there with Toa Leone is a strong one too, and I think it's just smart for both to kind of continue to grow as performers in this tag team.
Yeah, I watched that tag team match and thought everybody excelled. There were no losers in that match. But anyway, I do want to, before we'll move on to WWE, and obviously the Royal Rumble's coming up, and we got a lot to talk about. Monday Night Raw last night as we record this on a Tuesday night. I do want to go back and talk a little bit about Dynamite because we really haven't had a chance to talk. And I know that I sent a clip of another podcast to a bunch of people about the beginning. And I want your take, Zach, on kind of the beginning shot of Dynamite again and what you thought about it.
So I really enjoyed the opening angle. I thought it was well done. I won't go as far to say it was like, I saw people say this was one of the greatest opening angles for Dynamite. I wouldn't go that far, but I thought it was a good opening angle. It touched on the history between Ospreay and Omega at the beginning, and then through the brawl and going after the Callis family, you see the trust grow into with Ospreay and Omega, specifically with Omega, and then culminating in the announcement of that tag team match that'll take place in Australia. And so I thought it was a really well done opening segment. I know what the podcast segment you sent me, and to others, specifically our AEW superfan who was not happy with us with the recent episode that we had conducted. But nonetheless, I know that he certainly had some thoughts, so I will give the floor to you, Mr. Versage, on your thoughts on the opening segment, which, by the way, a well-received opening segment by critics, but except for a few, and I guess that'll tee it up for you.
Well, it was a well-received segment because Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega both did maneuvers and stunts that were, I don't want to say very WWE. They were Instagram worthy. They were viral. They were, look at what these guys are doing, moonsaulting off, heights that we haven't seen before and doing it together. And I understand why people were excited about it. So the podcast that we're referring to is Dave LaGreca and Busted Open, because he kind of went nuclear on the beginning of it. And while I'm not going to turn the volume up to, 12 plus out of 10 and, be wondering if your radio is still working after people are yelling like that, I will say that I agreed with a lot of what he had to say. First of all, Zach, and I'll try and spell this out for people. We watched one of the greatest matches that I've ever seen live when Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega fought at Forbidden Door in Toronto, with Will Ospreay winning and jamming a screwdriver into the face and forehead of Kenny Omega to win the match. And it's one of the last times I believe we saw Kenny Omega after about a year and a half. Is that not correct?
In a match, yeah, it was a few months after that, I believe, was when he had the diverticulitis diagnosis. So it was definitely one of the last ones.
Right. So let's just pretend that that's me and you, and God forbid you jam a screwdriver into my head to beat me in one of the most classic matches ever. And then I don't wrestle for a year and a half and I come back. And you tell me, don't worry, things have changed around here. I'm a good guy now, and we should fight this together because look at those bad people in the Don Callis family. I've learned my ways. No, you jammed a screwdriver into my forehead. And that's what Kenny Omega told Will Ospreay. And I appreciated that. Well, I'm not just going to forget this. And then all of a sudden, Don Callis comes out, and I'll have to ask you, why do you think it was Kenny Omega that ran out and not Will Ospreay that ran out when Don Callis came out?
I think it's just what kind of continued on from the previous weeks of with Don Callis coming out and Kenny Omega immediately pouncing on Don Callis getting back at him again, going back to that sort of rivalry in the past of how Don Callis screwed over Kenny Omega, and
he's so mad at Don Callis that as soon as Callis comes out, he just runs at him because he can't forgive him. But he's standing next to the guy that stabbed him in the forehead.
Well, the other guy's a good guy.
Right.
He's trying to figure him out. He hasn't attacked him yet, so don't cause the assault. We all know that Don Callis is a garbage human being, right? So,
anyways, the whole point is Will Ospreay should have been the first one out. It should have been Kenny Omega trying to figure out whether he's going to go help Will Ospreay because he doesn't trust him. But that's not the way it was. It was Will Ospreay suddenly in the ring, wondering whether he should go out and help Kenny Omega after pleading with him to join his team. Then Callis comes out, Kenny Omega runs after him, and Will Ospreay's sitting in the ring wondering whether he's going to go help him? Come on. He was just begging him 3 minutes ago, saying everything's changed. Why would Will Ospreay hesitate? Why, Zach? I'd like an answer to that one.
Well, he just got insulted by Omega.
Oh, so he's begging him. He jammed a screwdriver in his head, but Omega was maybe still a little bit upset about it, and Ospreay wouldn't understand that?
Well, he's a good guy now. He's been on the good guy front for a year. He's like, hey, how can you hold on to a bitter grudge like that over the last year?
Yeah, okay. He's a good guy. So anyway, Ospreay runs out, and all of a sudden, they're brawling over the arena. I didn't quite understand why Brian Cage and Lance Archer came out. So you're going to help me understand this, because when those guys come out with the kind of stature of they're huge men. Now it's 4-on-2. Plus Callis is out. Then they brawl over the arena. And then they do these moonsaults, crazy spots, and they were great. Were they really cool to see? Yeah, they were. How did 2 people beat up 4.5 to 5 people?
Well, they're the main event stars of the company, Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. You've been on this show talking about how, Brian Cage is just a guy. He's all looks. He's not a main event guy.
But why is he out there then?
Well, he's helping out the Don Callis group.
What? Did he help out?
You're talking about Brian Cage and Lance Archer coming out? Yeah.
They did? They helped out?
Well, they got their asses kicked, but they tried to help.
Oh, okay.
How are you supposed to expect, Don Callis getting his ass whipped that quickly? They got caught off guard. They went in, and then they defended their guy. They had the massive brawl around the arena. And then you had Omega and Ospreay do the moonsaults with the cameras missing the initial Omega moonsault. But they did the moonsaults. I can confirm from the people in the building that happened. But no, I didn't have an issue with that. I mean, they're part of the group. Like, why wouldn't they be, helping doing the bidding of Don Callis? They've got a contract, a manager's contract, right? They got to abide by it.
So why is a fan, first of all, after they do the moonsaults and they kind of push them back and they get up on the whatever, the pole, whatever it was, and now Kenny Omega is apologizing to Will Ospreay. I should have believed you. I now trust you. It was like 5 minutes ago, Kenny. 5 minutes.
Well, could an argument be made that that Ospreay was willing to make that big of a sacrifice, doing that risky of a move in order to fight off the Callis group? Where you're like, no, you can't buy into that either. No,
because Omega did the same thing.
I mean, Ospreay could have just said, "No, I'm not going to do this moonsault. You've got this." Yeah. If that happened, then at least I would understand.
I know you're being a contrarian, but at least can you give me, if you agree with everything else in the segment, that Kenny Omega should never have apologized to Will Ospreay? Never. In a million years, he's like, I should have believed you. After 5 minutes. Zach, honestly, I was screaming at my television. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I wasn't as hung up about it. I saw it more as okay, we're not going down this story path. We're going to go down this story path.
Yeah, and that's fine. But you don't apologize to the guy after he stabbed you in the head with a screwdriver and you were questioning, saying you'd never trust him 5 minutes ago. And he does a moonsault off of a barrier just like you did, and now you trust him completely, and you're apologizing to him? Come on. And then the other thing I didn't like is that I never thought Cage and Archer should have been out, because I think if you want to see a 2-on-2 match, the fact that two guys just beat up 4.5 to 5 guys doesn't make me think of why they would face just 2 guys, and I should be really interested in it coming up in Australia. And the other thing that they did was and look, Dave LaGreca ranted about this for a long time, and I'm not going to do that. But his point is that they put about 3 months of programming into 15 minutes. And I kind of agree with that, because after I watched that segment, and I know the match is coming up in Australia, why would I ever care to watch Dynamite this week with that until the match? You've told me everything you need to tell me. Why would I watch that, Zach?
You're going to get Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher taking on Omega and Ospreay.
Yeah, but why would I watch Dynamite this week in preparation for that? Why would I care about anything until that match happens?
That is a good point.
Because they basically did the go home angle. If that was 4 days before, and now you got to tune in on Saturday because they're going to be in Australia, okay. But that's not what happened. It's like weeks. So as soon as they said, I got an idea and we'll face you, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, you just beat up 4 guys, so I'm not sure why 2 guys are going to beat you. But okay, I'll ignore that and say I'm interested. But that's 2.5 weeks away. So now why would I ever watch Dynamite? What would happen on Dynamite that would make me want to watch that when I know that they're wrestling in Australia? I didn't understand a lot of it.
Well, it's okay, Lee, because at least on the Collision show, right, that you were there, you were boots on the ground. So
yeah.
You were able to get an answer on what time we're going to have our Australia show in a few weeks, right? I mean,
no.
you got,
no,
sorry, no?
I did. I asked, I yelled at Tony. I held a sign up as Tony came out.
Oh, really?
Tony Khan came out, as he welcomes the crowd. He came out, asked me what time he came out compared to when the show went live.
Doesn't he usually come out like before the show, like literally 5 minutes before the show starts?
Yeah, so he came out before the show. So ask me how long it was when he came out. He comes out, goes, "Hey, how you doing?" Blah, blah, blah. And he asked the girl in the ring, who I don't know her name. I saw her wandering around with her mom before the show, like in the regular. She came in just like fans came in the entrance and wandered around the concession stand and was like, "Who is that?" "Oh yeah, that's the ring announcer." And I can't remember her name, but he literally comes out and goes, "Hey, Jacksonville, we're home. How much time do I have?" And what do you think she said?
I want to say a minute.
So he just came out 1 minute before?
He usually doesn't talk that lot, so I assume he just kind of came out and was like, how much do I have? A minute?
40 seconds.
40 seconds, even less than that.
40 seconds.
Oh.
He goes, "We're going live in 40 seconds. He's like, "Okay, well, we're home and it's gonna be great."
It's good to see you all here at Dynamite.
Oh, and he's wearing his Tony Khan TK jacket from All In.
It's been a great show tonight. Really excited for you all.
Honestly, embarrassing. He came out. I'm like, dude, you just hired the coordinator from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and stole him away, and nobody else wanted him, and that was your guy, and now you're coming out. He honestly looked like, okay, I'm not going to run him down. I don't think it looked like a professional coming out, that they're back home, they're in Jacksonville, and if the owner of the company wants to come out to get people excited to be at the show, that was not conveyed in what he did on Saturday night. That's all.
He's like us, Lee. Except
no, he's
got $1.4 billion more than us.
Yeah, he's not anything like us. And I think when you come out and you got your own TK jacket, like, what are you doing? Wearing, like, imagine me coming in and wearing an LV jacket to go, look how cool my LV all-in jacket is because I'm the owner of the company. It just didn't come off professional at all. And I didn't look at him and go, you run a professional company. And he never said anything. So it's like, what exactly was the reason why you came out in the first place?
Right. And we still don't know when the Australia show is starting.
We still don't know. But it's not a big deal, Zach. It doesn't matter.
No, I mean, Ben told me it's not that big of a deal.
No,
it's not a big deal.
They're not really. They never really promoted it like it was a big event or a PLE. So why would they tell you the time? They're just going to stream it. Oh, right. Because then all they've done is acted like this is a pay-per-view and they're going to do all of their big matches on this card, but you have no idea what time it starts.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, Ben. Come on.
I told Ben and all the other AEW superfans, I want to get behind this company, but I said, even if you believe the fact, which I tried to understand their point about, okay, they didn't give you a time because it was always supposed to be streamed. It was never supposed to be this live event that people were tuning into. It was just going to be streamed for people to go back and watch. It's like, okay, even if I believe that, nothing in your programming suggests that, because all you do is promo this card coming up in the middle of February in Australia, and you are acting like it's a pay-per-view. So if you're acting like it's a pay-per-view and you think it's a good idea not to give people a time to go and see it, that's a bad idea. That's not good logic.
The wrestling promotion should know how to promote their shows. I can't believe I've got to argue this. Like, what are we doing here, Ben?
Right.
Like,
it's not even. I'm not even going to say Ben. Ben disagrees with us.
I'm saying Ben.
Yeah, I know, but there are more people that think that they're okay with this. And if you're promoting your card and you're promoting the fact of your biggest stars and Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega are going to team together and they're going to face Kyle Fletcher, Keshka, and you're going to have Toni Storm and Mariah May for the championship, and you're going to have your big stars because that's what you're leading to. There is no other big events in AEW coming up. Nothing on the horizon, right? Like Dynasty was announced in the beginning of April.
Yeah. I think Revolution is the closest one, which is in March.
Right. But there's nothing in February and we're in January.
Yep.
So if that's the event that you're promoting and you're promoting a lot of your big stars to be there, you do have to tell people when it's on.
Yep.
And that's just basic logic.
Well, that and also booking a show on the same day that one of the networks that you're on has one of their biggest events that's going to take a higher priority in the NBA All-Star Game, and booking a show on that same day so that you could broadcast it and realize you can't broadcast it on that same day because the network that has that All-Star Game is going to broadcast it over you.
Yeah. So I understand what you're saying, and I can be a little bit lax on this if the idea was that it was always going to be a streamed event. But if it was always just going to be this streamed, archived event that you can go back and watch, don't promote it on your television shows for weeks, telling people how important it is. Because that's all they've done. Everything is leading to Australia. Biggest thing that happened on Collision was a face-to-face with the women's championship. Biggest thing that happened on Dynamite was your biggest stars combining together to take on the Callis family in Australia. So all you're doing on your television shows is promoting this show in Australia. You have to tell people when it's on.
Yeah.
And they're not doing that. And I don't care if you had to switch gears and maybe you thought it was only going to be a streamed event and then you realized it was going to be bigger. That's your problem as a company. You can't promote something and not tell people when it's on. Those two things cannot. It's something the WWE would never do. Never. And there's a lot of things I don't like that they do.
Yeah.
They would never do this.
And if they did, they would all get eviscerated like what we're doing right now.
But they should be eviscerated.
Absolutely.
Any company that's promoting a big show. Like, I hate the fact that when the WWE went to Australia and when they went to Saudi Arabia and all of these other places around the world where the time clock is not the same and pay-per-views are on at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I think it sucks. When the Royal Rumble comes up next year and it's in Saudi Arabia, it's going to suck. But at least you know when it's on. You might not like the fact that it's on at 1 p.m. in the afternoon Eastern time or 10 a.m. Pacific time, but at least you know when it's on. We don't know when this is on. And I still don't know when it's on.
Yeah.
And that's not okay. It's not okay to present Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, who are wrestling together as a team in Australia in February that you are promoting, and you're promoting it with some of the biggest high-risk moves we've ever seen in one of the great instant satisfaction opening segments we've ever seen. I thought it lacked a lot of logic, but a lot of people loved it. And if people love it, okay. But that was done for the Australia show when we don't know when it's on. Don't like it, Zach.
I strongly don't like it, and I don't know why it's a debate, but I just wanted to make that point. This is my last point on it before we move on. I don't understand why this is an argument or a debate. I really don't. So
just so you know, in the Ring of Honor show, I was also a little bit confused. What's the name of that group again? MXM?
MXM, yes.
Right.
Not M&M.
MXM.
MXM.
Yeah. Who and what are the names of the guys?
It's Mansoor and Madden, I think it is. I'll search it up.
So is Mansoor that wrestled Sammy Guevara?
Yes.
Okay. On the Ring of Honor taping. Sammy Guevara beat him with a figure 4 leg lock, which I liked. They then got in the ring, Madden, and beat the holy hell out of Sammy Guevara. Waiting for Dustin Rhodes to come because he's his partner, right?
Yep.
Nope. No Dustin Rhodes.
Oh, no Dustin. Oh.
No Dustin. So what I didn't like at all is Mansoor and Madden left with Sammy Guevara's one half of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships. So they left with his belt around both of their waists like they've done something. So the angle in Ring of Honor is going to be that two guys took one guy's Tag Team Championship belt and stole it. So now they have it? Okay. Man, that would make me want to watch Ring of Honor. How is Sammy Guevara going to get his Tag Team Championship belt back?
Go to Ring of Honor Club right now. Honor Club right now. Subscribe to get your weekly ROH TV.
Didn't like it, Zach. I did not like it. Also, Big Shot, Lee Johnson, was out in Ring of Honor, and with his kind of protege bodyguard, might have been the biggest, most ripped person I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
Yeah. It was like Shawn Michaels and Diesel on steroids. Shawn Michaels would come in. Diesel's so much bigger than him, would do the dirty work on the outside, be the reason why he won. I mean, I understand the gimmick. It was quite something. But I do want to move on here. If you have any other thoughts on AEW before we move on, because I do want to get to the Royal Rumble and what we saw on Monday Night Raw and some of the things that are on my mind here, Zach. So, do you have any more AEW thoughts?
No, it's funny, we could quibble about some of the storyline beats, but I think that there's starting to be a little bit of direction going on at AEW, which is good. And yes. I at least know where things are going, you know. And
I should mention, and sort of cut you off. We should mention the Hurt Business winning the tag team championship.
Yes,
off of Private Party. One of the worst tag team title runs in the history of AEW. Private Party,
easily.
And at least now the belts, they mean more to me. Now, having the tag team championship match in the mid card on a Dynamite, maybe not the best, but okay. But a pretty dominant win from the Hurt Business. It wasn't even that big of a deal to win the tag team championships.
Yeah. This is something that should have happened a few weeks ago. This should have been like, it was pretty clear that they set up, Private Party to get the big title win over the Bucks so that they could have that. And then it should have been just a short reign after that to set up this Hurt Business deal. So I'm glad it's done now. I'm excited to see where that could go, because I think there are some exciting, tag teams that they could work with in AEW, and putting it on the Hurt Business makes a lot of sense. And Lee, they hurt people.
Yes, they do, Zach.
They hurt people.
They hurt people.
But otherwise, no other AEW thoughts. I wanted to reinforce my my take about the time, because I saw some pushback on it, and I was like, come on, guys. Like, I can, allow, conversation about the storyline beats and where things could go, but like, this is just, I don't know why this is a debate or an argument. I really don't. I genuinely don't understand. But all that to say, I do like some of the directions that are going on in AEW right now. Like, I don't think it's bad TV. I kind of want a little bit more energy in the crowds. I thought the recent show in Knoxville had a bit of that, but aren't quite there yet. And maybe it's just I have the old AEW Dynamites from like the early 2020s, stuck in my mind still. And maybe I gotta let go of that. But I like the venues that they're choosing. I think it makes them stand out on TV. And I think we are progressing pretty well along here in AEW. So,
well, I do think as well, I give the fans in Jacksonville a lot of credit. It was very easy, and there were some very cold people in that arena. Very cold.
Was it cold? Was it cold at Daly's place?
Yeah, it was. It was freezing.
It's freezing.
When I was driving down, Zach, I was crossing. It was like just crazy. I was crossing the border between Georgia and Florida, and on the side of the road, there was snow, because it snowed a lot earlier in the week down in the Panhandle and across into Georgia, like snow like they've never seen. But it had stayed on the ground, and as I was crossing from the Georgia-Florida border, there was a family on the side of the road because the snow had stuck on the side of the road. And as you go by the highway interchanges, on the side, there's hills, right? Like up to the exits. And there's families sliding down on sleds down the hills at the highway interchanges, like they've never seen snow in their lives, and they were going to take advantage, and they were going to get their sleds out, and that's what they were doing. And it was like still 7, 8, 9 degrees outside, but the snow was still there, and they were making sure that they were sledding down, and it's just wild to see.
Yeah.
Right? Like, They've just never seen snow like that before. Ever. It was quite crazy. Okay, let's get to the WWE and the Royal Rumble. And I know Zach will put out a card, and we'll get our Royal Rumble picks, and maybe we'll even have a chance later on in the week to do something else. But I'm actually really excited about the Royal Rumble because I'm not sure right now. I know we've had this discussion before, but it's time to have it again on Royal Rumble week. Have you changed your mind?
No.
You think John Cena is going to win the Royal Rumble?
Yes.
I do. I absolutely do not. I think there's at least 3, possibly 4, and possibly 5 winners of the Royal Rumble. So I'm going to ask you to hear me out and at least give odds on the fact that this could happen, knowing you think John Cena is going to win. But I want you to try and at least understand some other perspectives, okay?
Sure. I will hear it out.
Okay. So you think John Cena is going to win?
Yep.
CM Punk got in the ring with Cody Rhodes last night. Right?
Yes.
And told him that he was going to be the guy to win the Royal Rumble, and he was going to be the guy to go on. He was going to be the guy to challenge him at WrestleMania. Do you think CM Punk has a chance to win the Royal Rumble?
Yep. I think he's in that top 3.
And you think Roman Reigns is the other one?
Yes.
Okay. Do you expect surprises at the Royal Rumble?
Defied surprises like an NXT surprise, a Legend surprise.
Nope.
Are you talking about like a surprise winner? Because I don't expect that.
Okay. So I'll tell you. I'll just put the scenario out there, and you tell me whether it's possible that he could win. The Rock comes out number 30. At that point, do you think he could win?
Yes.
Okay. So that's 4 now. But it's at least possible.
Yep. If he comes out, I don't see him coming out, though.
Do you think Jey Uso's got a chance to win the Royal Rumble?
Not a chance in hell.
No chance in hell.
No, not a chance in hell.
After losing on Saturday night's main event to Gunther.
Lee, if Jey Uso wins this damn Rumble,
yeah,
I
you don't think it's possible?
Not a chance he'll win this Rumble.
Okay. I think there's a 1% chance.
I think it's like I'll give it a chance, but I'll give it like a 0.1.
Well, I just asked you if there was a chance, and you said no.
Practically 0.
Okay, practically means there is.
I mean, technically, everybody's got a chance in the Rumble.
Yeah,
whoever participates.
I know. No, they don't. No, they don't.
What, you mean to tell me Chad Gable doesn't have a chance?
Yes. I am here to tell you Chad Gable has no chance at winning the Royal Rumble.
It's not going to be Jey Uso, though. I'll tell you that.
No, I'm just asking if you think he's got a chance. Now I'll say coming out at number 30 is Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
Does he have a chance to win the Royal Rumble?
Yes.
Okay. Now we're up to what? 5?
5, yeah.
Okay. I will also tell you, we haven't even discussed Seth Rollins yet. And I think he's got a bigger chance than some people think. That's all. Like I don't, my last $10 of my life, I probably wouldn't bet on him, but I don't think it's 0 that Seth Rollins has no chance to win the Royal Rumble. I think he does.
Got more of a chance than Jey Uso, I can tell you that.
Okay. So, what if earlier on in the night, what if Kevin Owens wins the WWE Championship? Do you think that changes the winner of the Rumble?
Are you making the argument that Cody would then enter the Rumble?
Yes.
You see, here's the thing. I don't know if you want me to get into predictions now or if we want to save for later in the week, but
no, I want to hear your thoughts on how it's all developing.
So I don't see Kevin Owens winning.
No, I know that. Nobody does.
Yeah.
But I'm not asking if you think Kevin Owens is going to win. I'm just asking you, if Kevin Owens does win, do you think it changes the winner of the Rumble?
Yes. I think it certainly changes the complexion of it.
Okay. So what?
I think it's a little bit more unpredictable in terms of whoever wins this Rumble, which world championship they're facing. I think it makes it a little bit more unpredictable.
Do you think it's even possible that Kevin Owens wins the championship and Sami Zayn wins the Rumble?
I like your thinking, but I put that at like a less than 10%.
Okay, so the answer is, folks, yes, Zach thinks it's possible that could happen.
Like less than 10%, though, at best.
I understand. I'm not asking you for. I'm just asking you. Do you think it's possible? Yes or no?
If Kevin Owens wins and it's possible. Yes.
I think so as well. So all I'm telling you is I think there's a lot of things that could happen. And let me also throw another name in here for you. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible if he comes out at number 30 that Gunther could win?
Huh. Possible, yeah. I think it's possible.
I think it's possible too.
Yeah, I think that's possible. I feel like that would be very safe. That would I feel like that would be them trying to work around the gimmick. You know what I mean? Of the Rumble, and I don't know if I would love that, but if that were to happen, it certainly would be a chance.
I don't hate it. I'd be really interested in Gunther winning the Royal Rumble and getting the shot. So I just think there's a lot of things that could happen. But you're still putting your money, last $10 that you have in your hand ever. If it had to go somewhere, it's going on John Cena.
Oh, yeah. I'll even spin around like this. I think you're in denial that Cena is winning the Rumble. I think you want all these different options, but you know deep down, Lee, deep down inside, John Cena is winning this Royal Rumble. Deep down inside, you know it's going to happen. You just know it.
No, I don't.
Oh, I want to see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Oh, that'd be fantastic. Lee, we're talking about John Cena here, okay? John Cena, one of the biggest wrestling stars of all time. This is the same thing I say with The Rock. Literally, when you put John Cena's name on a card, thousands of tickets get sold in a matter of a day. He's that sort of impact mover. And you mean to tell me that the prospect of John Cena going after the World Championship is not going to sell and draw money? This is TKO. This is a publicly traded company. You don't think that they want to have a name value of John Cena going after the World Championship to try and break the world record for title defenses, which is not the real world record, but let's just go with it because it's WWE and their history and lexicon. But you're in denial, Lee. It's Jey Uso. Jey Uso? Really? You're trying to throw Jey Uso at me? John Cena is in this Royal Rumble. John Cena. He's going to win. And I'm going to be, when he points at that Rumble sign in Indianapolis, I am going to send you a screenshot.
WrestleMania sign.
Sorry, the WrestleMania sign at the Royal Rumble. But you know what I mean.
Mhm.
when he points at that sign, looking at WrestleMania, I'm gonna send you that picture, and I will send you a text, and I will say, "Told you so."
Okay.
Jay Uso, trying to
Yeet.
sell me on Jay Uso.
Yeet. He just lost another big match.
Another one, yes, because he's a geek. Like, come on.
A match I actually believed he would win.
You thought he had a chance, huh?
Oh,
Well, that was your first mistake.
I thought he had more than a chance. I thought he was going to win.
Oh, I laughed though, because now, like, he had a good match with Gunter, and now people are like, "See, he's a great wrestler." I'm
No,
like,
he's
I would hope he would have a good match with Gunter.
Yeah.
It would look bad on him if he had a bad match with Gunter.
I agree.
So, Jay Uso, unbelievable. Lee, we're talking about John Cena here is in this Rumble. You're like, oh, but maybe The Rock will show. But no, we have our bona fide main event star that transcends pro wrestling. He's in this Rumble right now, and his name is John Cena. And let me be clear, I don't want this to happen, okay? I would be over the moon if it's like CM Punk, or if it's, you want to be bold? Have Penta win this Royal Rumble. You want to tell me he's a big star and they have big plans for him? Have him win the Rumble. See what happens. But Lee, it's John Cena. That's John Cena. Get excited. John Cena is going to go after the World Championship. Do I want to see that? Oh, God, no. I'm done. I've had my fill of John Cena. But,
Okay, so let me put it to you this way.
All right.
Okay? I know you're not a betting man. So we'll make a bet that will not be money involved. And I'll do this for you, Zach.
Sure.
We'll have a proclamation come Sunday or Monday when we record our next episode, or the next episode after the Royal Rumble, where the winner of the bet will have the loser of the bet have to tell them that they are the greatest wrestling mind in the history of the business.
Oh, boy.
And that's why they're in the position that they're in. And I will do that for you if John Cena wins.
Okay.
Okay? But
I like it.
Okay. But I get the field. You're very confident about John Cena winning.
As soon as it was announced he was going on his retirement tour, and this is the first thing that was on my mind.
Okay, so are you willing to take this bet? I get the field. You get John Cena.
Yes, I will take that bet.
Folks, I'm going to be the greatest wrestling mind, and Zach McGibbon is going to tell me so.
Lee, I already made the Jack Perry pick. What have I got to lose at this point?
Yeah.
What have I got to lose?
Twice.
Yeah, twice.
Twice.
What have I got to lose at this point?
When he's going to win it and when he's going to lose it.
Yeah.
You couldn't get either of them.
Oh, you think I still have my humility after all that? Absolutely not. Why not? But this one I feel very, very confident on. I feel so confident on this, Lee. I'm to the point where I think you're in denial. You're trying to make it seem like, oh, I'm the crazy one. No, you're the crazy one. You're the one in denial. Get ready to sing the song and do the hand wave over the face and the "you can't see me." Get ready with the multicolored armbands. Get excited. Eat your bowl of Fruity Pebbles there, Lee. Get excited because John Cena is going to win the Rumble this Sunday or Saturday.
And you think he's going to face who?
Cody Rhodes.
Okay. All right. It's just not something I think. It's not a direction I think they're going to go. So I would even, if John Cena won, I think he would take on Gunther. Because I don't think they would put him in that other scene that's got a lot of things happening in it. But that's why so my pick is number 1, CM Punk. I would say number 2, Brock Lesnar.
A Brock return, okay.
Yeah. And number 3, I'd probably put it at The Rock. Those are I don't trust me when I tell you I would love CM Punk to win and not the other 2. But That would be kind of my top three with an outside shot at Sami Zayn, baby. I actually think it would be incredible as well. No matter who lost that world title match between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes, for them to enter the Rumble and win. I think that would be awesome.
I would laugh hysterically if The Rock wins. I gotta say. Not because I think it would be bad or anything like that. I just think it would be so funny that we went through him going on Netflix and essentially killing off all of his programs just for him to come back and reignite those programs.
Yeah.
That would be so awesome. That'd be great. I'd be all for that.
So on the women's side, I want you to take out one name and then tell me why anybody else is going to win. Okay?
Okay.
I want you to take out the name of Charlotte Flair. Even though she's not even back yet and vignettes are running on SmackDown, not even back. I want you to take that name out and tell me who's going to win the Women's Royal Rumble.
I will throw two names out there that have a chance, because I agree with you. I think Charlotte's going to win this. But I will throw out two names for the sake of discussion and banter.
Mm-hmm.
I will throw out another returning name, and that would be Becky Lynch. Would throw that name out there. You get her into a title program right away. And she's a name in that women's division. I'm along the same lines as Charlotte Flair. And the other one that I will throw in there sounds like she has just signed a new 3-year deal with WWE. And that is Jordynne Grace. And trying to establish somebody on the women's roster right away. And what better way to do that than have her win this Women's Royal Rumble match and have her challenge for the women's title, whichever women's title, at WrestleMania. And establishing her on the main roster right away. Even though she had her debut last year as the TNA Knockouts champ, this could be a way to really kind of set her up for some success. So that's another name I will throw out there to kind of make things enticing.
Okay. I like it. I will also throw out a couple of names. I agree with you. I think Becky Lynch could return and win and put herself right in the midst of where she wants to be. But that's not the names. I still think we're getting a little bit of a swerve behind the scenes. I think Alexa Bliss is going to come back, and I think she's going to be in a pretty big role for the WWE. But the main name for me is the NXT Women's Champion. Who, Zach?
Is it Julia?
It is. Because I think if you put Julia up and then Charlotte Flair comes back and Charlotte Flair ends up winning a title before WrestleMania, which I think is at least a possibility of what's going to happen, instead of Charlotte Flair winning and leading up to a Charlotte Flair-Tiffany Stratton match, I think if Charlotte Flair comes back, she might beat Tiffany Stratton sooner than that. And I'll present to you Julia and Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania with the NXT title, which they've already done at WrestleMania, right? When Charlotte Flair had the NXT title. So I do think you can get some returns, and the Jordynne Grace thing I like a lot, which I think is a really interesting way to go. But I also think you invest a little bit more in your time spent developing with your own company. And I think with Julia, you're pretty sure of what she is at this point. And if you're really looking to get to the next level, I don't know. Okay, let me rephrase the question. Let's take all the titles away and who cares who wins the Rumble. And I'll tell you, who do you think, Zach, is either the match or matches, if you had one or two matches in the women's division in the WWE that you would want to see at WrestleMania, what would those be?
Off the top of my head, I would like to see Jordynne Grace versus Charlotte Flair at some point. Mania would be fantastic. I mean, a lot of them kind of involve Jordynne Grace because a lot of the names that we have in here are kind of combinations I've seen before when it comes to the women's matches. So any sort of combination of Jordynne Grace versus Charlotte Flair, or even like, and I've been, ragging on how they've been booking her, but I think seeing Jordynne Grace versus Bianca Belair would be a fun match as well, considering both of their athletic backgrounds. So really, a lot of them is Jordynne Grace and other wrestlers, but I guess the main one would be, considering the women's wrestlers that we've got, would probably be Jordynne Grace versus Charlotte Flair.
Okay, I think for me it would be a combination of Jordynne Grace, Charlotte Flair, Julia, possibly Stephanie McClure. But to ramp up this division, I hate to give you a dark horse in this match. I hate to do it, Zach, because I don't. Yeah, I know.
Where are we going here?
Is it possible a returning Jade Cargill
Oh, God.
wins the Royal Rumble?
Oh, no. I mean, if they wanted to, I mean...
No, listen to the panic, folks, in Zach's voice.
Is that door open over there? I need to get out of here. I mean, I can see it. That's the thing.
Yeah, and see, that's the problem.
Yeah,
I can see it too, and it would suck.
Yeah, because that would be one of those. Hey, we're recommitted to one of the people that we signed, and we're gonna try and make this work and show people, yes, she is a star and she can main event, but I don't think she has that ability.
I would agree, and I think the problem with it is that she certainly would have to be in the ring with people that are better than her again. So it's like, how, if she won, how would you match her up with Charlotte Flair? Or, I don't know, does she turn on Bianca and Bianca gets the shot? Or like, I don't know. But it just scares me that that's a possibility, is all. Let me ask you quickly about what you think Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes, ladder match ends up being afterwards. Because I do think, and I'm trying to present some other options, but nobody thinks Kevin Owens will win this. Nobody.
No.
So, if that's the case, what do they do to keep? Because Kevin Owens has been fantastic in this feud. He's been relevant. It's like back to watching what we all love about Kevin Owens. I love watching. But if that's the case, then what? Like, if he loses, where does he go? What's he doing? Is Sami Zayn turning heel? Is Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn going to get back together as a heel group? What's happening?
It feels like it. They're just going to find a way to circle back to Sami Zayn after this.
But as a team?
I think initially as a team. I mean, I could see them doing a singles match at WrestleMania. They got 2 nights to fill, and that is certainly something that, if you want to appease some fans, you want to appeal to the Versages of the world that want to see a match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. You might not be able to do it for the world title, but you could certainly have a one-on-one match, and everybody talks about how these two, the singles feud that they have and the built-in rivalry that they have. I mean, having that at Mania would appeal to a lot of people. So I could see, the brief reuniting on the tag team front, but then eventually goes back to being enemies, and you do the match at Mania. So, and they've got time to work with it on that too. So
yeah, I actually look at it the opposite way.
Okay.
I think the way that they would do it, to me, is that while Sami Zayn is showing some heel tendencies right now, or that there's a possibility that he would try and fight the good fight and end up fighting Kevin Owens at WrestleMania as a face, Owens the heel, and then converting over after Owens would beat Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. And I happen to like what the Karrion Kross thing is doing. Karrion Kross getting into people's minds this way, and certainly seemingly like he's getting into the mind of Sami Zayn at this point. I also wanted to ask you, it's a name we didn't bring up, which I feel remiss that we didn't, and it's Drew McIntyre, and where you think we see Drew McIntyre, because he's still winning big singles matches right now on Raw. I don't think he's irrelevant in the Rumble. I don't think he's going to win, but what are they going to do to keep him hot? Because I think they care now about Drew McIntyre.
Yeah. I mean, they could keep him. I mean, I don't think people would be opposed if they decide to run back a Drew McIntyre Gunther match for the World Championship, even before Mania, just to kind of fill one of those slots. I think that would appeal to a lot of people. I also wouldn't be opposed to, McIntyre and kind of being in the mix for either the Intercontinental or US Championship. I know it's not the biggest title to go after, but that could be something where you've got a guy that you want to keep hot and you put a championship on him and just let him run with it. I mean, we saw that in the past with Gunther and how much he did for that Intercontinental Championship belt. So why not do something similar with Drew McIntyre, since you've invested so much of him on TV and you want to keep him being a guy that you want to be relevant, and you have something for the undercard as well. That could be something that they could do. But those are the things, I guess, kind of looking at it where they could go.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All in all, I think the WWE's done a pretty good job, no matter what Zach McGibbon tells you, folks, of giving us more storylines and angles going into a Rumble where I don't think you know for sure what's going to happen. I think if The Rock comes out late, you question whether he's going to win. I think there is a question whether you think CM Punk or John Cena or Roman Reigns, who we haven't talked a lot about. I think there are multiple people. If Brock Lesnar comes out at number 30, I think you question whether he could win. I think they've done a much better job this year going into the Royal Rumble, making it feel like there are a lot of people that could win this. And I haven't felt that in years past, so I'm glad to feel it. I feel a little bit differently on the women's side, where it's like I'm hoping for Jordan Grace, but like the people that I'm hoping win the Royal Rumble are like not mainstay names right now. It's like Charlotte Flair's mainstay name, but she's not even back yet.
Right.
Or Jordan Grace just signed a deal, but she's not in the company yet. Julia's doesn't wrestle in the WWE. She wrestles in NXT. Like, we're talking about all kinds of different winners that are possible, but none of them actually wrestle right now. And so that to me is a little bit different, where it's like I'm having to guess the winner. Becky Lynch, another one, not around right now. So if I had to put as the favorite, Charlotte Flair is the clear favorite to me. But then after that, it would be some combination of Becky Lynch, Jordan Grace, Julia, and none of them wrestle right now. None. Which I think is a problem, because all of the men's guys, Cena's back and Punk's there and Roman Reigns, and I think there's a lot of people that could win it that are involved. So I give them a lot of credit. I think they've done a pretty good job since the Netflix era of reintroducing some stars. So I'm pretty excited about Zach, and maybe we'll do a quick preview edition beforehand. But this has been fun. Always good to catch up with you, my friend.
Yeah, there's a lot that we went over on this episode, and so it was good to get everybody caught up on what's going on in the world of wrestling, and should be a big weekend coming up as well. So should be exciting times in the world of wrestling.
For Zach McGibbon, VFG, I'm Lee Versage. Thanks again for listening to another edition of This It is wrestling.